We're just waiting for the session chair to log in. Dr. S.C. Patil should log in the next 1 minute. And then we'll begin with the session. And then, on behalf of the Department of MBA at KLS-GIT, I welcome all the presenters on the forum of the two-day international conference on Indo-African businesses, a strategic perspective. The forum in the past one and a half days has seen remarkable presentations and deliberations. Just a minute. Patil sir, a very good afternoon, sir. Patil sir, am I audible? Patil sir, a very good afternoon. Am I audible, sir?
I think Patil sir mic is off.
Patil sir, am I audible, sir?
Patil sir, can you switch on off your mic?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
audible.
Yeah, yes, sir, very much, sir. We are so happy to have you on the forum, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, should we begin the session, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead. Start the session.
Yes, sir. So a very good afternoon to all the presenters today on the forum. Respected dignitaries, Dr. S.C. Patil, sir, the Registrar of Krishna Devaraya University, Ballari, Dean, sir, Dr. Krishna Shekhar Lal Das, sir. So Das, sir, would be delivering the keynote address for today's session. So to begin with, let's first have the introduction of our keynote speaker for this afternoon. Dr. Das is an activist and educator, believes in Gandhi ideology of truth, non-violence, and a JP ideology of total revolution. Dr. Das has an extensive experience which scales up to 3 decades precisely. Currently, Dr. Das is working as a Dean MBA at KLS-GIT since 2018. He is also served as a professor of leadership and good governance in the Ethiopian Civil Service University. He has worked with the Wolkiti University as a professor for a duration of 3 years in public administration and general internal relations. He has also worked with Asia Pacific Institute of Management, New Delhi IILM Graduate School of Management, Institute of Management Studies, Ghaziabad, National Center for Labor, Center for Education and Communication. He's been a research volunteer for Bachpan Bachao Andolan. He's also been associated with Indira Gandhi National Open University as a visiting faculty for a period of 1 year. Dr. Das has several credentials acclaimed to his name. He He's received the Netherlands Government's Fellowship Award for MA in Employment and Labor Studies. Also, he's received Research Fellowship Grant from Indian Council of Social Studies for his research and PhD. He's a qualified NET professional. And Dr. Das has been a prolific speaker on labor laws and aspects related to human resource. We are honored to have you on the forum, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I now call upon Dr. Das to deliver the keynote address for the afternoon session.
Thank you, Amit. And I also like to thank you, Patil sir. Sir has agreed to chair this session. And our association with Patil sir is always welcome association. So thank you, sir. And I would also like to welcome all the paper presenters, participants, students, faculty. Since yesterday, we are discussing, deliberating on the different issues, particularly on the Indo-Africa businesses, strategic perspective. So today in today's session, I'm going to discuss in my keynote address related to the background of India-Africa relation and also the recent trends, and particularly the focus will be more on the businesses, the India assistance related to development in Africa and the security issues. So in terms of the research and all, we find that before 2000s, there were only few publications with contemporary Indo-African relations. But after reinvigorating of India's Africa policy in the new millennium, we find there have been numerous publications on India and Africa. Like in the Indian case, with our economies average growth 7.5 between 2004 to 2020, we see that Indian companies have increasingly been trying to open up new scales market in the African continent. They have been looking to Africa ever since, as the continent has been remarkable growth rate as well, averaging at 5.33 in the same period. And countries like Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Ethiopia even enjoyed double-digit growth between 2004 to 2019, what we see, because I was also there in 5 years in Africa, and I see particularly in Ethiopia, we saw that double-digit growth there. So besides, India-Africa trade had skyrocketed because India has been seeing Africa not only as a destination for our products and services, but also as a source for commodities. And as the countries thirst for oil and also related for other resources, the cooperation to grow together, develop together, and develop the GDP in domestically also in India, and also help to grow the African country. So we are trying to diversify in many sectors, particularly in energy and resource supply with Africa, and that is becoming one of the most attractive partners, partly because large chunk of continent's resource are still untapped, and there is a lot of potential that from the both sides we need to collaborate, and we are in the process, and there is a consistent effort by the government of India to promote and collaborate. And today we find that almost 70% of the India's import from Africa consists of mining and quarry product, including crude oil. The country is importing 1/4. Our India is importing 1/4 of our crude oil from the countries, continent, the African continent. The big role that oil is playing in Indo-African trade, we can also see in the fact that refined petroleum product account for very high percentage of the proposed goods that India is importing from Africa. And then Confederation of Indian Industry and World Trade Organizations, that these statistics we can find from this CIA and the WTO. While trade flow from Africa to India only comprise few technology products, the picture is completely different, the opposite direction. Almost all export from Africa, from India to Africa, are technology export with chemicals, machinery, electronics, communication equipment, and especially pharmaceutical dominating. As far as regional distribution of trade is concerned, we see that Angola, Congo, Nigeria, South Africa, Sudan are among the top African exporters to India. Notably, no East African country is on that list. That is one of the things where we need to think and have some strategy, as the region does not feature many resources and thus only account for 2% of the African export to India. That East African country has the less percentage of the export to India. On the contrary, because of historical tie between India and East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Mauritius are among the top destinations for export from India. So in general, distribution of export to Africa is much more balanced than distribution of import, as India is trying to penetrate all African market with its products and services. And what I found during my stay in Africa, that whatever the product and services is there, the people in Africa consider our goods and services with the high esteem and high reputation, because our product and services is quality services, quality product. And there is a very goodwill among the African citizens about us. So that is one of the good point we need to harness it. So in total, India is Africa's fourth largest trading partner today, after the European Union and others country. European Union is the single bloc. India-Africa trade has reached 64 billion nowadays by the 2015, and showing that 13-fold increase since 2000. So the country is even about to our India is even about to overtake the United States in the next few years, and right now we claim the third place after the European Union and China. So we see that there is a high priority given to securing the resources. There has been heavy investment in the resource extraction sector. However, there is a strong Indian investment in sector. We find that like in the sector like IT, telecommunication, education, banking, health also. And the resource sector investment is carried out by the both state-owned enterprises and private sector companies like ONGC, then Indian Oil, GAIL, and all are also the IRCON, and all these are the public sector company. Their involvement in Africa. Then also in the private sector, we find the many like the Airtel, Vodafone in the telecommunication sectors are there. And there are many private sector like Bharti Airtel, what we find. And what I found that the Airtel is all pervasive in many African countries. What I found that in Kenya, the Airtel from Kenya, you can make a local call. Even what you make a local call in India, Airtel to within India is costly. Then making a call from Airtel to from Kenya to India is cheaper. So what I found, that was very much most interesting thing of what I found there. So our focus is on fostering trade and investment, and what we find yesterday also in our inaugural address by our honorable minister. On the policy level, the Indian government has the very high priority, but still we are competing with the other European countries, the Chinas and all. We see that the Beijing or the China is able to exercise certain control over state-owned enterprises there. India is largely confining itself to supporting Indian private company investment in Africa, but not controlling or steering them. Like, for example, the support is given in the form of loan by India, like Exim Bank. Through Exim Bank, we are supporting the investment there. And that this program was launched in the year 2002 by the NDA government led by Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. And subsequently, it was also taken forward by the subsequent government, by the UPA government and the current government, and the NDA government. Then also, in 2004, the government launched the techno-economic approach for Africa-India movement. And this initiative is designed to deepen the relations to aid resource-rich country in Francophone Africa, like Burkina Faso, Chad, Ivory Coast, Equatorial Guinea, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Senegal. These were the countries where the Indian foothold has historically been much weaker. So there is a focus to expand there in the East and Southern Africa. And related to the multilateral relations, we find that there is a focus only on economic integration related to India-Africa relation today. And beyond, we are promoting trade and investment. India has significantly increased its diplomatic engagement on the multilateral, bilateral, and regional level. We find that on multilateral level, India is still following the policy led by the first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, and that is pleading to support Africa in multilateral forum like the United Nations, like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, like the World Bank or the World Trade Organization. And we find that this kind of support is not a one-way road, as India wants African country to rally behind its application for a permanent seat in that is also one of our agenda to getting the UN permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. And we need the support, so that is also one of our agenda. But also along with that, since we have the historical legacy, so we are the natural ally. So India-Africa Forum Summit, we have initiated the India-Africa Summit, and there have been the many summits, and also we are planning to move together.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Then not only on multilateral and all, also bilateral, we have been maintaining the bilateral relations with individually with the different country. During the UPA also, during the Manmohan Singh administration, India expanded its diplomatic representation on the continent. And we find that there are more than 30 Indian embassies or high commissions in Africa, and it's continuously getting expanded under the current leadership. But however, we feel that we are somehow behind with China. That is the concern we need to address. Our government need to address it. And then particularly when we compare with the America, USA, Washington or Beijing, then we are behind, and that is the one area we need to look upon it. Then also in terms of the regional diplomacy, India, we hosted first India-Africa Forum Summit in the 2008. That was the one of the unique process we started with the engagement with the African continent. And in the first Indo-Africa Summit held in 2008 in New Delhi, the 14 African head of state, the African Union leadership, and 8 head of the African regional organization came to India. And then again we had the second Indo-African Forum Summit in 2011 in Addis.
Madam, कहाँ से logged in है?
Yeah. Amit. Hello.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
Yeah. So in 2011 was the second Indo-African Forum Summit. And here in that India, we pleased large sum of development assistance and line of credit in terms of invoking the legacy of Panchsheel. And it was the first and foremost equity in the partnership and mutual benefit. Then also in the third summit that happened in 2015, and that was something really a remarkable development and progress. This was a 5-day summit, started with the consultation on the official level, followed by the head of the state government level summit on 29th October 2015, and then also with the scheduled bilateral meeting on the 30th October 15th. And this was Modi government biggest diplomatic outreach involving delegates from a large number of African nations. African leaders unlike previous 2 occasions, where the events were restricted only 10 to 15 African countries. But in this, the third summit, the largest ever turnout of African leaders in India, we found at least 41 leaders, including the South African President Jacob Zuma, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe, Nigerian President Muhammad Buhari. All these very renowned leaders attended in India for the India-Africa Summit in October 2015, the third, and next we are waiting. So the India-Africa Forum Summit obviously was a response to the Beijing Forum on the China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, that started in 2000 on a ministerial and in 2006 on the head of the state level. So that was also, we wanted to compete and have our presence. So that way we started the India-Africa Forum, and it's going well, and we need to work more. Then, with engaging with the African continent, we have as yesterday the Honorable Minister said, we have the many program of development assistance to the African country. And that is not just now, the pace has been started, but increased. But this policy we started since 1960. Our development assistance has been an important instrument in toolkit of India-Africa policy. Through the Indian Technical and Cooperation Program, ITEC, like yesterday our Honorable Minister was referring to it, India has been giving technical assistance, training and scholarship for African for 50 years now, more than 50 years now. And that is, even though whatever we are doing, unable to match the absolute figure of development aid provided by Western countries or nowadays China. We are still lagging behind, but still it's a sizable portion we are involved in. And as our minister was telling yesterday, that the number of more than 3,000 and even 30,000 and more African students are pursuing their academic career study in India. So that is also the part of development assistance, and not only in education, it is also in the information technology assistance. Then also it is in education and health service. And also it's moreover not just our approach is not just to give the feast, but also to teach how to feast. That is there. And then also we find that recently our Ministry of External Affairs have set up a dedicated aid agency, and we call that Development Partnership Administration, DPA. And we are already spending more than 15 billion of assistance for the more than 50 billions assistance to the African country. So from the beginning, India's assistance to Africa came with no string attached, no conditionality. That is, non-interference in the partner country, the internal affairs. We don't interfere. We give assistance without any conditionality, and that is embodied in the third principles of peaceful coexistence. And India is not trying its development assistance to progress in the field of good governance, human rights, and democracy, unlike Western country. But although whatever they say that in that human right and all, but they use as a tool, and there is no consistency. So we avoid such kind of complications. Then also we have a very good policy related to security relations with respect to Africa. India's Africa policy features in decisive security component. This is because India relies heavily on, we see that we rely heavily on the sea lanes for our trade, as the majority of import reach to the country by sea route. Because by land route, we are not directly connected. So sea is the only sea route. So our fight against piracy lies in the national interest, because always we find that the ship has been hijacked by the pirates, or there is a piracy problem, and India has to act and coordinate with other partners. So India is eager to monitor the Indian Ocean because of many factors, including the Chinese activities. And to do so, we have signed multiple defense agreements, and we have also conducted maneuvers with many countries in the Indian Ocean regions. Like in Madagascar, India, we have been established. It's our first listening post on the foreign soil. Additionally, we have actively contributing to the United Nations peacekeeping in Africa. And for decades, we have been sending blue helmet or our force peacekeeping force. For example, taking part in the first UN peacekeeping missions in Congo, that is our history in 60. And till now, we have contributed more than 6,000 troops, 5,000 police officers, and almost 100 and 200 experts to the missions in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ivory Coast, Liberia, Sudan, South Sudan, and the Western Sahara, and almost amounting 7,000, more than 7,000 peacekeepers in totals. So currently, India ranks second of all contributing country to UN peacekeeping. So thereby, India send a powerful message that India is living up to its rhetoric of supporting Africa and international cooperation. Then on economic tie, we have the very stronger effort, and particularly with our current leadership, like our Prime Minister Modi. Not only when our Prime Minister Modi was the Prime Minister, even he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. From that time itself, his general campaign and also all these things, Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, put the need of economic reform and growth at the center, and in order to make India more competitive and bolster employment. So it was not possible only at internal level, but also we have the presence in the as a part of foreign policy. So the government have taken many steps to follow the economic reform after the following the economic reform in 1991, and then the pace was fastened during the Modi government now. And so that is also one of the stated policy by developing India, developing our partners together. So these are some of our policies related to Africa in terms of trade, investment, security, sending the peacekeeping forces, helping having the bilateral, multilateral diplomacy, expanding our missions, our embassies, our commissions and all. So, and also we are focusing more on the diaspora, Indian diaspora, and we have more than 250,000, the 25 to 250,000 people of Indian origin living in African countries. And then also more than 75,000 non-resident Indian who mainly live in South Africa, Mauritius, Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and almost all, you name a few, almost all country, our people are there. So that is one of the major sources to connect with India and have a very good tie with the African country in terms of trade, investment, business, maintaining the good relations. So we are looking forward to have a good relations, and together the focus is to grow together, develop together, and move together without any conditions, and following the principles of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Panchsheel. So that is the principles of us, the India, and we are operating at equal level with the African continent. So with this, I like to conclude my speech. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you thank you so much, sir, for wonderful insights. Just to summarize as to what Das sir said, he covered the facets pertaining to relationship between India and Africa pre and post independence. He also touched upon the aspects pertaining to trade, education, trade flow, technological aspect, exports and imports, and regional distributions of trade avenues, sir. Dr. Das also covered the government perspectives and views on African diplomacy and Indian diaspora in Africa. Sir, your talk was indeed wonderful, and I'm sure that the presenters today on the forum would have got a lot of insights on India Africa relationships. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now it's time to introduce someone who has been dynamic and known in the education fraternity for the good work that he's been doing associated with RCU, and now he's the registrar at Vijayanagar Sri Krishna Devaraya University. Dr. S.C. Patil is currently serving as the registrar at Vijayanagar Sri Krishna Devaraya University, Ballari. Dr. Patil has a career spanning more than 24 years of teaching, research, and extensive experience with societal orientation at its best. Basically, being a technocrat, Dr. Patil has been into teaching and been associated with KLE Society's IMSR and worked there for 12 and a half years. He served as a principal and various administrative positions at various capacities. He is a comprehensive communicator with outstanding team management skills and practical experience in networking with various partnering institutions, agencies focusing on overall interest and growth of all the stakeholders. Dr. Patil is known for his swift, vigilant administration with precision yet being supportive to all innovative ideas from stakeholders. Dr. Patil has been on various committees. To name a few, he's been on the working committee member of Academic Council, finance committee member, chairman of the department, estate officer, director IQAC, director R&D and RUSA nodal officer for Rani Channamma University, Belagavi. Dr. Patil believes in academic and research excellence as a strong driving force for rural upliftment along with clean, transparent administration reachable to all stakeholders in Ballari University. He aims to achieve highest credibility for Ballari University by making it an institution par excellence at global level. We are honored to have you on the forum, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, should we begin with the presentations?
How many would be presenting, Amit?
Sir, we have 4 presenters
Okay.
who would be presenting, and roughly we have allotted 20 minutes per presenter.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can we have Dr. Srinivasan and team presenting their paper first? So you can share your screen, Dr. Srinivasan. Yes, Mr. Yeah. You can please share your screen, sir. Endal Kachev Kaptamu. I'm sorry if I've misspelled your name. You can please share your screen and start the presentation.
He says he doesn't have any presentation. Let him start the process of presenting himself.
Okay. You can start presenting. Possibly there's some communication gap. Yes.
It is for whom?
Dr. Srinivasan and Endal Kachev Mekonnen. They would be presenting on the topic.
Your, both mic is off. Can you?
Yeah,
you
please unmute yourself?
Unmute your mic. Indale and Srinivasan. Your mic is muted. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, he's presenting.
Okay.
Yeah, better. So you can start
Is this
presenting.
visible?
Yeah, visible and audible both. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Our title is Antiquary.
Dr. Srinivasan, there's some technical error from your end. You're not audible. Dr. Srinivasan, would you like to present later? Can we have the next presenter? Possibly there's some technical error from your end with respect to
Network, seems network problem.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can we have
Yes,
your
sir.
presentation later, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Possible, sir.
Okay. So, okay. Can we have the second presenter online, Dr. Arshi Dua? Madam Arshi Dua, are you there online?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah, madam, you can please share your screen and start the presentation.
I don't have a PPT, but I'll be presenting like this only. Firstly, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for organizers for organizing this conference and giving us an opportunity to present. My name is Arshi, and I'm a doctoral scholar at Center for African Studies, JNU, and I'll be presenting on role of Indian diaspora on Ugandan business. Indian diaspora is, in a very general term, referred as the Asian diaspora in Uganda and has been a very intrinsic part of Ugandan history, culture, development since the ancient times. They have seen the pre-colonial times, they've struggled with the colonial hardships, and of course the Idi Amin expulsion time. And of course, then returning back to Uganda as well. The journey of Asians in Uganda has been one hell of a roller coaster ride from one part to another and has been a integral part of Uganda's past, present, and its future. They have integrated into Ugandan society, its history, its culture and economy, and other facets of Uganda as a nation. They've contributed to the growth, development, specifically in the social, cultural, academic, medical, and business sectors of Uganda. One of the distinctive and enduring Asian contribution, specifically in the host countries, is in the realm of economics, and conflicts associated with economic interest has been part of the major trials and problems they have faced, specifically in the African nations. They have played the Asian community in Uganda have played a very significant role in the foundation of the modern Ugandan economy. Their role in the society and as the head of the economic hierarchy is well known and documented throughout the Ugandan history. They have been a part of the at the time of the independence, and even today they have been a part of the agribusiness, the manufacturing sectors, and the commerce sector. They were intrinsically woven in the economic fabric of Uganda since the colonial times. And my paper basically is focused on the role that Indian diaspora has played in the Ugandan businesses as well as the overall economy of Uganda. The Indians firstly came to Uganda as a part of the indentured contract, in a major way, as a part of indentured contract, specifically with the Givenjis. They were given the contract to build in the Ugandan railway line, and because of that, the labor forces from specifically Punjab area were hired to build in the railway line and build in the railway line. And because of that, they came there, signed the indentured contract, and then settled there and helped build up the diasporic community in Uganda. During the colonial times, the Asians were largely urbanized in non-agricultural sector. They were white collars, self-employed, and engaged. They were also part of the. They also helped because of the intrinsic business mindset. They also helped in trade and manufacturing sectors and started building up their slow empires here in Uganda. The economic position of the Asian community was evident not only in their numbers in occupational group, but also with the relative and increasing share in the economic life of Uganda. For a long period of time, Indian-owned cotton ginneries dominated the market. Specifically, if you see the Ugandan history, the example is in 1925, there were 145 total ginneries, and out of which 100 were owned by the Indian-owned owners. Therefore, over the time, the Indians became the prosperous and dominated Ugandan economy, which, however, was also the root cause of problems, which actually resulted in a lot of conflicts of interest, specifically in regards to the native Ugandan population. In the post-independence Uganda, in 1966 census, a census of distribution, it was reported that in terms of wholesale trade recipients, African controlled around 4.6%, whereas Asian controlled 73.6% of the overall wholesale trade. In many areas, it was and over considerable periods of times, Asian entrepreneurs were dominant. Finally, the role they played was very significant because of the structures and the economic control of the Asians in Uganda. One of the important aspects of Asian diaspora which is settled there was it was family-owned businesses, and management was initially the top leadership or hierarchical management was at the hands of the Asian business owners, even though they employed the native population, but the leadership or the hierarchy was in control of the specifically the family-oriented businesses. And there were very less outside interventions and in the business structures of it. The entire economic transactions from the point of manufacture to retail sale might take place within an extent, and also within a certain extended family. The competing and participating in such a it was also a uniform pattern, and communication was it's a very close-knit community. Specifically, if you see it in a in the colonial times, pre-independence time, the distinctive and enduring Asian contribution in the newly independent Uganda, if you consider it, the importance of Asian contribution, which will be seen as if you see the newly independent newly independent Uganda economy and structures. Example would be Nanjidas Kalidas Mehta. He was the founder of the Mehta Empire in Uganda and was a well-respected and acknowledged Asian overall, not just in Uganda, but the whole of the East Africa circuit. And when he died in 1969, the Ugandan flag flew half-mast to pay an honor and respect to him, and specifically his contributions he made in Uganda. The Mehtas contributed, be it in the education sector, the setting up of sugar mills, the manufacturing sectors, and slowly and gradually contributing in development of Uganda. Nanjidas Mehta and Muljibai Madhwani were what you call it the founders of modern Ugandan economy, specifically at the time of the independence when the Ugandan economy was developing after the colonial rule. The Asian community in Uganda in the pre-expulsion times had laid the foundation of modern Ugandan economy and infrastructure, as I said. At the time, it was one of the most flourishing economies in the African region, and the expulsion of Asian community under President Idi Amin in 1972 had resulted in the destruction of this very development. The expulsion had President Amin gave the reasons that because the Asians came to build in the Ugandan railway line, and now that work is complete, they have to leave. And because of that, an entire community was expelled from Uganda in 1972 because of his policies and ideologies, and of course also because of the fear that resulted in that time. The expulsion had brought down a flourishing nation and had resulted in pushing back the Ugandan economy and infrastructure development for roughly around 20 years, and was responsible for laying down the route for the accumulation of international debts and economic pressures that even today Uganda has to deal with. And the consequences of expulsion is not yet completely eradicated from the nation. You could still see the linkages and the aftermaths of the expulsion even today because of the debt crisis that Uganda faced in the aftermath of it. The post-expulsion period was one of the darkest periods in Ugandan history, barring even the colonial and the pre-colonial times. It was the time for downfall of Uganda as a nation. The rising, flourishing economy declined because of a powerful dictator's ambition and greed. Sunni's philosophy not only resulted in the downfall of Uganda, but also increased the already existing divide in the Asian and the African communities in Uganda, the traces of which, as I said, is seen even today. The primary contribution of the Asians in the post-expulsion era is almost negligent due to the dictatorial policies and lack of Asian presence in Uganda. However, they play a very unique position. However, the Asians play a very unique position in economy, and they after the dictatorial regime ended, the Asians slowly started coming back to Uganda, and reinvesting and re-establishing. And after President Museveni came to power, an economic stability was achieved in Uganda. More Asian or Indian diaspora, as you say, started coming back to Uganda. The return of the era, the decade of 90s, late 80s and early 90s was actually where these expelled Asians came back to get their properties, to get back their heritage, to come back to where they belong, where their history was, where their family legacies was. And because of that, the return of Asians helped in revamping the Ugandan economy. Their investments, their business ethics have aided in the growth and development of Uganda, thereby transforming the Ugandan economic and social structures. The joint efforts of the Asian community and the Ugandan government was under President Museveni had transformed Ugandan economy and has created a new identity for Asian investors in Uganda, unlike the fake investors which were present during the Amin period, if you say it. The decade of 1990s had witnessed not only the wave of return of expelled Asians, but also the new Asian diaspora because of the economic stability and the new opportunities that arrived. Because as Uganda during that period was in a relative peace and economic recovery programs, then it encouraged the other Indian community, Indian companies also to come to Uganda, not just the diasporic company, but the Indian investment companies also to come to Uganda, invest, be a part of the Uganda, the economic development of Uganda. There were a number of cottage industries which produced wide variety of domestic and commercial iron products, wooden products. These all small scale industries started growing during that time. Also, it was a time where when you say the accumulation of the expelled Asians, the new Asian diaspora with the native Ugandan community business community coming together and building up the Ugandan economy, which actually had lost its growth, development, and shine because of what happened at the time of the expulsion. Around 70 major Asian business owners who had resettled in Britain after expulsion had decided to reinvest in Uganda. At that time, among them, first to return were, of course, Madhwanis and Mehtas, the two families which controlled the Ugandan industry before the expulsion order was passed. Also, the economic recovery program helped in bringing out the overall Asian companies also under a single banner of developing Uganda. The companies of the people or the families or companies, if you say the Ruparellas, the Madhwanis, the Mehtas, the Mukwanos are some such examples. If you say the Mukwanos in an example, their founder Amrali Karmali, who died in 2019, his contribution in overall Uganda was such that he was given the Order of Nile, in one of the highest order specifically in the production and entrepreneurial sector, to commemorate his achievements in the overall investment and his work done in Uganda. They've been involved in the manufacturing sector, the real estate sector, the finance, the agriculture. One of the biggest mall in the nation is actually built by the Mukwano Group. And even Exim Bank in Uganda is one of the subsidiaries of the Mukwano Group. Similarly, the Madhwanis have been a part of almost every sector, be it the agricultural sector, be it the investment sectors, the tourism sectors with their hotels and safaris and So much so that even before the expulsion, there was a small community named after them, the Madhwani Nagar, which now we call it the town of Jinja, or the Kakira sugar estate that they have. Similarly, Mehtas are also with their sugar mills, the Logazi, their estate in Logazi is so much so revered there, and everybody knows them in a sense that they are very familiar names, not just among the Asian community, but among the native population as well. In the year 2000, saw a new wave of Asian investment in Uganda. The new millennium reflected new diaspora, specifically the Indian companies, for example, that started going there. In 2010, Bharti Airtel brought the African business there. The Godrej Group have made 4 acquisitions there. Mahindra and Mahindra started installing their businesses sectors in Africa, specifically Uganda. Indian manufacturing sector, if you say the NC Beverages, the Ansuma Group, the Nile Agro-based, in agro-processing, the Nile Agro, in the education sector, the AppTech sector, Tata in the auto sector, Bank of Baroda and Bank of India in the financial sector. Some of them are the examples which have been investing, and Indian companies and Indian owners investing in Uganda. And this in collaboration with the diaspora companies of the Mara group of Ashish Thakkar, and of course the Madhwani, Mehta, Ruparellas, Kibokos, Mukwanos, Roofings are some of the PIO-owned diversified businesses in Uganda, and they provide not just employment to the Asian diasporic presence there, but also to the native Ugandan population, and these together consider us as a part of their social responsibility there. One of the important aspect of role of the Asian diaspora there is also in enhancing the Indian-Uganda bilateral relations also, if you consider in that sense. Prime Minister Modi's visit in 2018, it was the diaspora which acted as a bridge between the Ugandan government as well as the Indian government. And when Prime Minister Modi went there, and it was the diaspora which was actually more enthusiastic about his visit than anybody else at that time. And of course, if you consider the recent times, if you say it, it was the Indian Association in Uganda which helped the Indian military team to set up the military war game center in Jinja district. This war game center is named as India, and it is a type of a strategy and game that simulates warfare realistically as abstract to as compared to abstract strategy. And this war game center was constructed with the amount of over 1 billion Ugandan shillings, which was funded voluntarily by the contributions of Ugandans of Indian origin. The overall involvement in not just development of Uganda as a nation, but in bridging, in bringing together the Indian government and the Ugandan government, diaspora is even today playing a very significant role. And be it specifically, if you say it, not just a business sector, but the education sector, but in a philanthropic sector, the Indian Association of Uganda were responsible for organizing blood donation camps, as well as for funding native Ugandans who needed medical assistance to come to India as well. The university sectors, the scholarships organized, scholarships are funded by these business owner, the business families, if you say it, they've been organizing scholarships so that people can study, and the native Ugandan population can study. And being there and seeing the first hand the way scholarships are organized, as actually I can say they have been working for that. However, there are a lot of limitations associated with the involvement of the diasporic community in Uganda as well. Specifically in the business sector, one of them could be the colonial legacy. As I said earlier, the colonial legacy, if you say it, was the divide and rule. What they did was they sowed the seed of division between the native population as well as the diasporic community, and that was enhanced by the expulsion of the Asian community. And till today, the traces of expulsion and what colonial legacy had can be seen and witnessed. And it's very difficult. People are trying, the governments are trying to bridge the gap, but again, you cannot change this basic psychological mindset of people when it comes to certain aspects of it. Another issue, if you say it, is that the Indian diasporic community is very very exclusive. They tend to remain within their community, which the native population have a problem because of not completely assimilating or not completely being there with the native community. The diaspora inherently is internally very much into their own community, which tends to create issues and problems and miscommunication between the two communities, which again leads to problems as well as misinterpreted ideas and notions. Another limitation is that the diaspora in Uganda want to be recognized as a tribe in Uganda to because of the advantages as well as recognition that comes with the identity of being a part of Ugandan history and legacy. However, that's still an ongoing process. Unlike that hasn't been happened yet in Uganda specifically. Overall, of course, another limitation would be, therefore, we can say that the challenges seem. Despite a lot of challenges, efforts are being made from both sides to bridge this gap. However, again, it's a long-term procedure. You cannot eradicate decades of miscommunications, animosity completely. Yet, it is happening. The change is happening, specifically in the younger generation, because they had not experienced the horrors or the psychological implications of the expulsion. For them, it is just a part of the stories they've heard from their families. And of course, the new diaspora is also there. But again, the problem comes, the new Asian diaspora in Uganda does not have any emotional linkages to Uganda as a nation. For them, it is simply a place of opportunity where they go to earn money, or it's a stepping stone to go to another first world country. First they'll go to Uganda, then to maybe Britain or US or Canada, etc. So that is sort of a problem that has been coming, and which again we cannot completely eradicate it. It just has to be worked out together how to work it. Yet I can conclude by saying that in Uganda, specifically when it comes to businesses, the Asian business owners have been an important part of Ugandan history, culture, and specifically business side, and will continue to remain so. They literally have their hands in almost every sector, be it agriculture, be it manufacturing, be it the packaging or shipping sector, be it the tourism sector, be it the malls or the shopping complexes, be it just in other education sector, the medical sector. And overall, they have been a part of it and will continue to do so. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Arushi. Thank you for presenting the facets pertaining to India and Uganda relationships. Any questions from the audiences on the forum? Patil sir, any questions from your end, sir?
That's fine. Only request from my side is let there be a restriction on time. Otherwise, we'll overshoot the time.
Yes, sir. Noted, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, any questions from your end, sir?
Nothing. Need not.
Dean sir, any questions from your end, sir? Okay. I believe there are no questions. Congratulations, Arushi, for putting up a good show.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can have the second presenter displaying the slides, Madam Renuka Lakapanavar.
Yes,
She would be presenting on emerging trends in tourism, a study of prospects and possibilities for India and Africa.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Is it visible, sir? Is it visible, sir?
Not really, ma'am. It's not visible.
Okay, sir. So problem is something like. Now again.
Yes, ma'am. Visible. Visible now.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. My topic is on emerging trends in a tourism, a study of prospects and possibilities for India and Africa. I'm Renuka. I'm from Kausali Institute of Management Studies, Karnataka University, Dharwad. Introduction. This research paper intends to compare the two most popular tourism destinations in the world, India and South Africa. Sorry, India and Africa. The research study is an attempt to do analytical comparison of two most potential tourism destinations with a time series data and figure out what are the different challenges and the similarities. Both the countries have for growth prospects in the field of tourism. Both have some common cultures, like they offer best of hospitality. At the same time, both have a significant differences in the cost of equations. Tourism in India important for the country's economy and is growing rapidly. The World Travel and Tourism Council calculated that the tourism generated 16.91 lakh crore or 9.2 of total GDP in the year 2018 and supported to 42.67 million jobs and 8.1% of its total employment. The sector is predicted to grow at the annual rate of 6.9% to 32.05 lakh crore by 2028, and it can contribute 9.9% of total GDP. In October 2015, India medical tourism sector was estimated to be the worth rupee 3 billion, and it is expected to grow around 7 to 8 billion by 2030. In 2014, 1,84,298 foreign patients traveled to India to seek a medical treatment. Over 17.9 million foreign tourists arrived in India in 2019, comparatively 17.4 million in 2018, which representing a growth of 3.5%. This makes India is the 22nd most visited nations in the world and the 8th in the South Asia and Pacific. Introduction to South African tourism and its experience. According to the Tourism 2020 report released by the Statistics of South Africa, foreign arrivals dropped 71% from just over 15.8 million in 2019, which is less than 5 million in 2020. It has a reason. It is evident that the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the tourism industry quite a high amount and the world and in the South Africa, mainly due to the lockdown and travel restrictions that were imposed. According to the report, the overall number of travelers decreased by 71% between 2019 to 2020, which show the immense amount of decrease in the tourism sector. The overall number of travelers decreased by 50.7% over last 15 years period from 24.6 million, which is recorded in 2006, and 12.1 million travelers recorded in 2020. In South Africa, the direct contribution of the tourism sector to the GDP was 130 billion in 2018, which is constituted nearly 3% of their GDP. In 2018, the tourism sector contributed about 4.5% of total employment in South Africa. In 2020, the volume of tourists decreased by 72.6% from 10.2 million in 2019 to 2.8 million in 2020. The volume of tourists, which is decreased by 72 points. The distribution of tourists by the region of residence shows that 74.8% of the tourists who arrived in the South Africa in 2020 they were resident of Southern African Development Community countries, and 1.5% they were from other African countries. These two sub-regions constituted a total of 76.3 tourists from the Africa, resident of overseas countries, which is made up of 23.6% of the country, tourists. On the 16th of March 2020, the president of Ramaphosa, who announced a measure of combat of spread of COVID-19 in South Africa. These measures were in line with reducing the monitoring inward as well as departing travelers. He made out of 53 land ports, he closed 35 because of lockdown, and out of 8 seaports, he locked 2 ports. The level 5 lockdown introduced by the Ramaphosa on the 26th of March 2020 resulted in the tourism numbers dropping drastically for both the incoming and outgoing travelers. In light of this, South Africa did not receive a visitor for a period of 6 months from April to September 2020. In 2020, tourists from UK tagged to the overseas visitor list. When comparing the 2020 volume with the 2019 volume, the number of tourists decreased in all leading overseas countries. Australia had the largest percentage decrease of visitors, which is around 81%. In addition, a travel ban on selected foreign nationals from high-risk countries into the South Africa was communicated on 18 March 2020. Research gap. The prospect of two important nations in the field of tourism in a least research and compared. Growth of these two areas and adaptability of both for the mutual benefit has raised many challenges. In the present situation, this study will focus on: one is emerging trends in a tourism sector, identifying the challenges in tourism sector in India and South Africa, studying the opportunities for the both the countries. Research objective: to understand the present trends in the tourism sector, India and South Africa, to understand the prevailing tourism trends and understand the future of tourism in India and South Africa. Industry scope: this scope of the study is limited to tourism sector and the research is based on the secondary data. Comparative analysis of India and South Africa. India and South Africa has a certain advantage over other countries, and they also have a lot of differences which make them unique, at the same time become vulnerable to some limitations. The following common factors make India and South Africa which make very attractive tourism destinations. One is cultural heritage. India and South Africa have a unique quality that they always express their hospitality. Both the countries have a huge advantage of being tourist-friendly environment, and they offer a warm hospitality, which is a part of the cultural heritage of these two mutually complementing countries. Hospitality. Hospitality has been a unique selling point of the India and South Africa, even it comes to tourism experiences of the visitors. Both the countries have extended unique services and warm hospitality to the tourist, which make a tourist to visit again and again. African and India are considered to be the most humble host with a polite behavior. Cost of living. The cost of tourism in India and South Africa, including the traveling and even in the international protocols and formalities, seem to be average. In comparison with a lot of Western countries, all travel cost, food, accommodation facilities, also wide range of options with a varied cost in both the countries, which make it feasible for all kinds of travelers and make it favorite destination. Range of services. India and South Africa offers a range of services and infrastructural facilities to all kinds of tourists across the world, right from 5-star facility to unorganized homestay and cottage kind of facilities. Even the variety of food and transportation options make them very preferred destinations in the world. Transportation. Our transportation facilities and alternative made of travel are plenty of in both the countries, and they are vulnerable to the inexpensive cost. India and South Africa are well connected to have a plenty of options of travel through airways, waterways, and roadways. Cuisine, one of the traditional and wide range of food and cuisine which make all kinds of tourists satisfied is the uniqueness of a food served by the both the countries. That it include taste, variety, flavor, and choice of vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian food options available in India and South Africa. These are the issues which related to tourism sectors for India and South Africa. One is COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic has changed the tourism map in last 2 years. One of the major events that shook a worldwide in last 100 years, the most specifically in tourism industry. A lot of tourism business hit very badly, and the revenue of the both the countries have gone into the negative growth in last 2 years. The scenario seems to be continuing with the present trend, which has created a fear into the minds of the tourist. It may take quite time to get back to the normal. Safety. Our media has reported quite few incidents of tourists has been raped or looted or cheated by the local criminals, which is a concern for spoiling the image of the both the countries in an international forum. Although the criminal acts are common in all the countries, however, they need to ensure safe environment to the tourist. Distance between the destination. India and South Africa both are geographically widespread countries. It's a practically difficult for the tourists to cover the entire country in a one visit. Uncertain and unplanned events are quite common. We experience a day-to-day life that suddenly political rallies, road stoppage, strikes, agitations, and constructions of work will going on. These are the unexpected things which can hamper the tourist. Like other two disasters, more than 70% of India are vulnerable to the one or other kind of disaster at any given point of time, and South Africa as well. So no different and more exposed to the man-made and natural disaster in many which ways. This is create a hassle for the tourist. And the future for tourism, future of tourism for India and South Africa. There are various possibilities of promoting these two countries and make them world destination for India and South Africa. Have many unique features which no other countries can offer. Some of them are like medical tourism. India is very in upper hand in this medical tourism and comparison with the South Africa, and it already identified as a destination for medical tourism for a lot of Southeast Asian people, Gulf countries, and even developed countries like Europe. Spiritual tourism, both India and South Africa have a lot of example, not only places associated with a spiritual destination, but also a huge number of followers and attracted to the spiritual gurus and activities. Nature camps, increasing awareness of health, not only in physical level, but also in mental and psychological level, has made a human to go closer to the serene places and quiet places. They would discover themselves. India and South Africa are the perfect destination for these kind of journey, and they offer a space for these kind of activities, which will create a future for tourism industry. And environment and wildlife sanctuaries. Rare, but fortunately, South Africa and India have quite a built of forest and wildlife through a remotely placed now, along with a huge biodiversity which would projected as a zoo for the world. Tourists changing the profile. Tourists changing the profile from typical man-made places is shifting to nature-made. This huge future tourism attraction to both the India and South Africa. Eco villages. Eco villages are the places to go back to the origin and get a connect to the traditions and cultures of our original DNA and understand the evolutions of our own self. The speed and technology-driven society would see eco villages as a future for tourism destination. Meditations and yoga hubs, mental and physical health is gaining a lot of importance, and the people from metros and the cosmopolitans are moving towards these kind of destination tourism, like meditation hubs and yoga hubs. And my conclusion is, tourism is an opportunity for all India and South Africa, which not many other countries have been blessed with this nature. Although we are going through the rough patch of experience, especially for tourism, there are unparalleled opportunities in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Renuka madam, for bringing us aspects pertaining to tourism related to India and Africa. Any questions from the forum? Patil sir, any questions from your end, sir?
Fine. No problem. Continue.
No questions, sir. Dean sir, any questions from your end, sir? No worries. We shall have the next presenter presenting on a study on opportunities and challenges in Indo-African educational cooperation, Mr. Akash Deshpande from KLS GIT. I request you to please share your slides and start the presentation. Mr. Akash Deshpande, am I audible? Can we have Mr. Akash Deshpande?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm
Akash,
audible, sir?
yes, you're audible, but there's a lot of echo.
Yes.
Please share your slides.
Yes, sir.
Amit, have you fixed the time?
Yes, sir. 20 minutes per
Sir, is
presenter.
my screen visible?
Yes, Akash, it's visible. So 20 minutes per presenter is the time that has been allotted, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Akash,
Yes, sir.
Your
Is my
screen is
screen visible?
visible. Yes, your screen is visible and you're also audible. You can start the presentation, Akash.
Yeah, sure.
Seems someone, there are two login in your nearby. So echo
Yes, sir.
should not be the echo.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Akash Deshpande. Currently, I am pursuing MBA from KLS Gogte Institute of Technology. Today, I am here presenting my research topic, a study on opportunities and challenges for Indo-African educational cooperation with my co-authors, Professor Nupur Vaishne Madam and Mr. Abhijit Patil. This is the flow of presentation. Now, introduction. Traditionally, India has been known as a knowledge center. It earned this tag because of traditional of Gurukul system and the historical universities like Nalanda, Takshashila, and Vikramshila, where students from across the globe visited India for pursuing their education. India's partnership with Africa is based on model of cooperation. Unlike China, it is demand derived and free from any conditionalities. Also, it is based on out of a history of friendship, historical ties, and sense of solidarity. India and Africa have pursued development cooperation for decades. The main focus of this development cooperation is on education and training in fields such as finance, accounting, information technology, promotion of small and medium-sized businesses, rural development, and the environment and renewable energy sources. India's support in the education sector of Africa received huge support. The projects like Indian technical and economic cooperation served as the bridge of knowledge between India and Africa. Since late 1960, India has heavily invested in education and capacity building programs in African countries. The initiatives like the Pan-African E-Network project with 3 universities in Ghana, Cameroon, and Uganda are the example of this. Currently, approximately 23,000 African students are studying in India in various public and private institutes and universities. The next concept in presentation is literature review. Many researchers across the globe studied the Indo-African relations on the basis of various factors like investment, education, role of Indian diaspora, and the diplomatic relations of India with various African countries. In that, Yoganum G. research found that India is number one choice for African student for pursue their higher education abroad. But African students are comfortable with natural climate, but not the cultural climate of India. TNDJ analyzed the opportunity and challenges for African students in India, and Mallan R.S. and Jindal L. analyzed the capacity building in education sector with reference to Indo-African relationship and concluded that capacity building plays an important role for development of any countries and development of education sector in that country. Then next is research methodology. Exploratory research design is used for this research work. The main purpose of this research work is to analyze the opportunities and challenges for Indo-African education cooperation. For this study, total 25 research papers were examined, from which structured study was conducted on 13 relevant research papers, and data collected from various research paper, e-resources like website of Ministry of External Affairs, website of Indian Council for Cultural Relationship, and various news articles. Then the main part of this presentation is the opportunities for Indo-African educational cooperation. The first one is the value proposition. Many African students travel to India because they believe that education in India is less expensive than any other Asian countries and USA, United Kingdom, and other European countries. Due to the favorable currency exchange rate, students are allowed to pay less college fee that are far lesser than other Western countries. Second one is high quality education and research opportunities. Indian universities provide training and research opportunities in practically in every discipline. Some of the research done by university student is funded by both the government companies and private companies. In most universities and colleges nowadays, education and online classes have gone digital. The third one is scholarship program. Ministry of External Affairs through Indian Council for Cultural Relations sanctioned the 3,300 scholarship for a foreign student, in which around 900 scholarships are reserved for the African students via the embassies in various African countries. Fourth one is the diversity and cultural attraction. India's diversity is also attraction since it allows individuals of many nationalities and regions to feel their home. Most of the Indians believes in Atiti Devo Bhava, which translates to guests are God equivalent. The fifth one is institution building. India places a high value on skill development and capacity building, while training of foreign employees in India and deputation of Indian expert overseas are significantly ways to achieve this. India has funded the creation of Pan-African institutions like India Africa International Trade Institute, India Africa Civil Aviation Academy, and India Africa Institute of Information Technology, and many more. The last one is strong diplomatic relationship. After independence, India's foreign policy ideals influenced the African countries' decolonization effort. India maintains the strong diplomatic relationship with African countries via BRICS Association, Indo-Africa summits, and initiatives like Vaccine Maitri. Next slide will be continued by Mr. Abhijit Patil. Thank you.
Thank you, Akash. Challenges. First one is communication barrier. Due to the diverse culture in both the region, trends to the barriers in communication. Second one is job opportunity. African students feel that a part-time job will be needy in handling their express in India, but employees are redundant to provide job opportunity for foreign students. In India could see multiple increase in foreign students if they get part-time job easily. Third one is charges of harassment and discrimination. Students from other countries who came to India want to feel comfortable and secure at their educational establishment. However, a recent attack on African students in India has caused anxiety among African students in India. Next slide. Discussion. In fact, stunt education already important role in providing access to education for million of people in the developing world. So bridge the digital divide and upgrade skills and attracting more African students. Indian universities should promote their online and distant education programs in African country. Second one is in African continent, 1 billion people need jobs, which will primarily depend on accessibility to higher education and skills building opportunities where India can play a major role by providing career-based vocational education programs fit for the African job market. Third one is the issue of resile bias in a pertinent and urgent problem that needs to be effectively tackled through establishing strong and effective institutional mechanism or quick redress of grievance of African students. Fourth one is Indian educational institutions, how to modernize their systems, means access to their technologies, giving teachers and students best learning environment possible in the necessary tools to compete in the global marketplace. Next slide. Conclusion, higher education in India provides fantastic opportunities for African youngsters to make up for lack of education in their home nations. However, it is a win-win situation because this appeal benefits the Indian economy by facilitating collaboration and partnerships. In terms of human capital, both Africa and India are extraordinarily resourceful. Collaboration in strongly encouraged for the emerging countries of this era to have a brighter future, and Africa and India have already started down that path. I would like to thank college to giving us this opportunity to present our research in this international conference. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, team. Very good presentation, Akash, Abhijit, and Madam Nupur. Any questions, sir, from your end? Patil, sir, any questions from your end?
I think when I conclude, I think it will be better that I express my view, not on
No worries,
individual.
sir. No worries,
fine.
sir.
We'll continue.
No worries. So the next and the last presentation for the forum today would be.
Hello. I have a contribution. Hello. I have a contribution. Hi.
Yeah, Mr. Sunday, I'll get back to you. There's a presentation that is lined up. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Dr. Srinivasan and team, can you please share your slides and start the presentation?
Yeah. I will do presentation. Without PPT, I can do our presentation because the presentation in Ethiopia, I am in India. So actually, he was ready to take the presentation, but some technical issue he could not.
Patil sir, is it okay? Should we go on without the PPTs?
That's fine, no problem. Without PPT also it is fine. Let them
Yes,
continue.
Yes, sir. You can start your presentation, sir.
So I will do presentation without PPT. Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Srinivasan, you're not audible. Dr. Srinivasan, you're not audible.
Hello. 1 second. 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 1
Dr. Srinivasan, can you hear me? I believe there's some technical problem. We have one more presenter lined up, the last one for this session. Dr. Seema, are you there on the forum? Dr. Seema, are you there on the forum? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam, you're audible. Do you have a PowerPoint presentation to share?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yes, 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 sir. Just give me 2 minutes. Give me 2
Yeah,
minutes.
please, please.
Just a minute. So now it is visible?
No, ma'am, your screen is not visible. Although we can see you, but your screen is not visible. You'll have to share it, ma'am.
Yes, 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 sir. I'm just trying. I think there's some problem. I'm sharing it, but not able to share.
No worries, ma'am. It would be okay if you could present without PPTs. That's fine.
So I think there's some technical issue. I don't know why.
No worries, ma'am. If you could, are you comfortable presenting without the PPTs?
Yes, sir. So my topic. Yes, sir, because I'm not able to share it because some technical issue is there. I think it is visible on the screen, sir.
No, it's not visible, ma'am. That's okay, ma'am. I mean, you can just start your presentation. That would be fine.
Okay, okay, sir. Yes, sir. A very good evening to all present here. I, Lieutenant Dr. Seema. Today, my topic is tourism business in Africa and India, impact of COVID-19. As we know that the pandemic globally, causing the industry a loss of almost $4.5 trillion. Domestic visitor spends decreased by 45%, while international visitor spends decreased by the 69.4% if we compare to the 2019. Tourism is an integral part of the Indian and African socio-cultural and tradition. Both the countries' tourism industry has got affected by the COVID-19 and its impact was shown on the business. The GDP and growth of both the nations goes down. Because of travel restrictions, total tourism business was down and most affected areas were tourism industry. And many people lost their job. The COVID-19 froze the tourist sector around the world. Countries around the world continue to impose restrictions on the travel as a part to hold the spread of the virus. So on India and Africa, same. Ultimately, the drastic outbreak of the novel coronavirus has caused great loss to the tourism industry. Literature review means many authors, they have analyzed and they expressed their views on the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact on the tourism industry. The spread of the virus has severely threatened the lives and $2 trillion in 2020 and up to 75 million jobs, as per the World Travel and Tourism Council. In global challenges are there. And research methodology, actually my research is based on the totally secondary data. The methodology involved is exploratory in nature and collected the information from the different sources, from journals, magazines, books, and online searches. And statistical data from the government side has been taken. The analysis has been done on the basis of the information collected from the different secondary sources. By the statistics, South Africa foreign arrivals dropped by 71% from just over 8 million in 2019 to less than 5 million in 2020. It is evident that the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the tourism industry quite hard around the world and in South Africa, mainly due to the lockdown and travel restrictions that were imposed, as we all know that. And according to the report, the overall number of travelers also decreased by 71% between 2019 and 2020. The overall number of travels decreased by 50.7% over 15 year periods, from nearly 24.6 million recorded in 2006 to 12, when 1 million travelers recorded in 2020. So in Africa, tourism is travels account for over $1 billion, 12 in annual revenues for several countries, including Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, and some other destinations. They had got affected because of the pandemic 19. In Africa, in India, the percentage of foreign tourist arrivals was very low since last few decades, 2019 and 20. India is famous for its warm welcome, hospitality, different lifestyles, cultural heritage. But because of pandemic, all the system has been collapsed, as many religion shrines in India are visited regularly. But because of COVID-19 pandemic has caused a 22% fall in international tourist arrivals during the first quarter of 2020. The latest data from the World Tourism Organization shows that continuously there is a downfall in international flights, and totally below the average. According to the United Nations specialized agencies, the crisis could lead to an annual decline of between 60% to 80% when compared with the 2019 figures. This places millions of livelihoods at the risk and threatens to roll back progress made in advancing the sustainable development goals. And the Indian tourism sector is adversely affected by COVID-19 since March 2020. On March 24, 2020, the government of India imposed a nationwide lockdown, and because of the various adverse conditions and restrictions, the total tourism industry has gone down. And this is the graph which I have shown in my PPT. Yes, there is a continuously downfall in the tourism industry from 2008 to 2000. Conclusion is on the basis of the various statistical data, and the various data has been collected from the secondary data, is the highest magnitude, because COVID-19 is a pandemic that affected highest in last since 100 years the tourism industry. The outbreak of the COVID-19 has been considered a watershed moment for the economic activities and industrial sectors. This outbreak severely affected almost all the industry sectors and seriously affected the tourism and hospitality industry in India as well as in Africa. As a consequences of the COVID-19 epidemic, the globe is facing an unparalleled global health, social, and economic crisis. Travel and tourism are among the worst affected industries with worldwide demand. And because of worldwide, there are restrictions. So that's why Africa and India both are facing a lot of problems, and that tourism industry is totally going down, and there is a huge downfall in the profitability, and they are facing a lot of problems. In comparison to the same period first year, there were 900 million fewer international tourist arrival in the first 10 months of this year, resulting in a loss of $935 billion in international tourism exports revenues, more than the 10 times the loss experienced in 2012. 2009. So that's why this is the era 2019, between 2020 and 29 to 19 and 2020. There was a huge loss to the tourism industry in Africa as well as in India. Thank you so much, sir. From my side, that's all.
Thank you, Dr. Seema. Thank you so much for presenting your perspectives on Indo-African tourism. That brings us to the end of this session. Thank you, dear participants, for putting up an excellent show of intellectual discussion. I now request Dr. S.C. Patil, sir, to present his concluding remarks.
Good evening to all of you. It was nice being part of such a wonderful discussion. I would like to thank Dr. Krishna Shekhar, who absolutely gave us a holistic picture of the activities being done in Africa, African continent as such, the collaboration of India and Africa, the activities being done, the business opportunities, the possible major stress areas which India is looking at in Africa. That was wonderful one where it gave us all of the glimpse of what would be the contribution of all your papers towards Indo-African collaboration. Looking at the presentations being done, all were wonderful presentations covering up all the areas. But only looking from academic points of view, it is very sorry to say that it was more of a theoretical, conceptual presentation, less of research work. And each one of you have seen it in a very different perspective, right? Where the presentation was on Asians to the development of Africa, that was wonderfully put across, taking back some at least 100 years statistics with a lot of information related to people who have been working there. My request to all the young researchers is that let there be papers presented with a lot of figures and facts so that it becomes interesting for people who are participating in these conferences. I thank KLSGIT, the Dean, the Chairman, and all my friends who are part of that for this wonderful opportunity of hearing such a wonderful research works of people around who are working on that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Patil sir. On behalf of KLS management and the Department of MBA, I would like to express my gratitude for sparing your valuable time and giving meaningful insights to our participants today on the forum, sir. Thank you so much, and looking forward to interacting with you very frequently, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Have a great evening, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would also like to thank Dr. Krishna Shekhar Lal Das, sir, Dean MBA at GIT, for patiently logging on for 3 hours and listening to all the wonderful presentations, sir. Your insights were meaningful, and I'm sure that it will help all the researchers who are doing their research work on Indo-African businesses. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I request all the participants. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. The feedback form of these sessions would be posted to you on your emails, followed by which the certificates would also be given. So this would happen in a week's time. So thank you so much, all the participants, for putting up an exceptionally great show of intellect. Thank you so much. Have a great day and a great evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, for your kind information, yesterday we had not received a feedback form.
Sir, the feedback would be sent to you on your personal email in a week's time. And also along with that, once the feedback is given, the certificates would also be sent to you immediately.
For both days?
Yes, sir. Our team is at it. In the week's time, you would receive a mail from our end, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for logging in. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all presenter.
Thank you, Dean, sir. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. I think Patil sir already left.
Patil sir has left, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Rashmi, you are there, PhD scholar? Now informal.
Arshi Duaji, you are online. Dean sir would like to interact with you. Madam Arshi Dua. Madam Arshi, you're there online?
Okay, not an issue.
No worries, sir. Yeah. I'll end the meeting, sir.
Okay.
Thank
Yes.
you so much, sir. Yeah.